Welcome to Bear Down Ballers. I'm your host, AJ Bramlett. I got my super producer with me, Ryan Wall. We're going to hop into the preview of the 2021-22 Arizona Wildcat basketball season. Ryan, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good tonight. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Excited for the upcoming season.
I wanted to just ask you some questions about the upcoming team to start it off.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get into it. How well do you think the transition will be from, Sean Miller was here for 10 plus years to Tommy Lloyd, longtime assistant, first year head coach?
Well, I think, Miller, we had a lot of success under the Miller years. He did great things, there in Arizona. But I think a fresh start is good. I think, the guys that were playing under Miller will have a new voice, new energy. And change is sometimes always good, for guys to break out of kind of the roles that they've been stuck in maybe for the past couple of years, get some new opportunities to break out and do some different things. So, and Coach Lloyd, I didn't know him at all before, he got the job that came out, during the celebration for Coach Olson's life, a month or so ago, and got to spend some time with Coach Lloyd, and I think he's going to do a great job. I think the guys respect him. He runs a tight practice similar to what Coach Olson used to run. I like the things that they were working at, offensively and defensively, and I think there's just an excitement around the program. At least at the local level. National level, they're not giving us much respect right now, but I think this team has talent and has an opportunity to shock some people during the season.
Yeah, I think this team will shock people. They've looked great from what I've seen so far at practices. Future looks bright for the Tommy Lloyd era. But let's move on and let's talk about the team as a whole. They have a lot of new young players. They have a few new transfers. How do you just think this group will, succeed? Like, how do you think they'll gel together this season?
Well, I got to spend some time with them, like I said, when I was in town, a little bit earlier. And, the one thing I could say about them is their chemistry is great. Like they all get along, they all support each other. I mean, the energy in the gym during that practice was, just extremely positive, and you don't get that everywhere. It's not something that you can really manufacture. It comes from guys' personalities, and obviously, what they care about, and how much they want to win, and if they care about their fellow teammates. And these guys have that. You can just see them support each other, and that's something that you need as a baseline, before anything else. And these guys have that. So, and there's talent. Transfer Justin Kier. I really like him. I got to spend some time and speak with him. Competitor. I think he's going to bring a lot to the program. And they just have a good mix of players that are hungry, and that's what you need. And it was a year like this. It's a new year, no real expectations, for the team. I don't think, but I think that they're going to really do a lot better than people expect. So I'm excited to watch them play and get out there on the court.
Yeah, I do. I do like the mix of players. They have a nice mix of some veterans, players that have experience, some foreign players, some young guys from the U.S. So yeah, I think it will be great. The next question that I had for you, AJ, was last year James Akinjo was the leading scorer. He took a ton of shots in the offensive end. Like, how do you think the offense will adjust, and who do you believe will be the go-to scorer, on this offense this year?
Well, I think there's two guys. I think Tubelis obviously has an opportunity to expand his game from last year. I mean, he had an incredible freshman season. He had an outstanding under 19s in Latvia, where he averaged like 17 points a game, I think, and close to 9 rebounds or whatever it was. He's just got an all-around game that really suits him to be the focal point of the offense this year, along with another guy that shined in the U19 championships as well, which is Ben Matherin. Ben has all the tools. I mean, the body that he has is already an NBA body. Jason Terry and I were talking, during the practice, that he does, remind us of Michael Dickerson, one of our teammates, on the way that he plays. And if, he's given a little bit more freedom, a little bit more green light to really, facilitate and score a little bit more, I think he's due both of those. I mean, Tubelis had a great season last year, and Ben had some good moments, but I think consistently those are going to be the two guys that are going to carry the load scoring wise. And then I think Kurc has a chance to, really be that complimentary guy. I loved him in practice. Like his communication and his leadership during practice was something that really stood out to me, and that's something that guys respect him. And he'll be a lot more comfortable this year. I think Coach Lloyd will give him a little bit more freedom than he had last year, and he's got an opportunity to really step in there and shine on the offensive end as well, I think.
Yeah, so you mentioned, some players that last year shined throughout the season, but I wanted to get, maybe a breakout player that you think maybe last year, or maybe they're a young player, an incoming freshman, haven't played a lot, and you think they're going to break through where they're going to be a big, and they're going to have a big impact on this team.
There's two guys that come to mind right away. The first one I'll talk about is Christian Coloco. I think that Christian they need a lot from Christian this year. I feel I kind of understand that role because when I was a sophomore, I was coming into like a similar situation where a lot is going to be put on his plate, but I think he's ready for that, and I think that throughout the season it maybe take some progression, but I think by the end of the year you're going to see him make some huge strides and really be a solid part of the offense and defense on the team, and really take some big steps forward this year. And I'm excited to see that. And then Dalen Terry, I think Dalen Terry is a multifaceted talent. He can handle the ball. Last year, he didn't get a lot of opportunities, and in my opinion, the games that I saw to really, facilitate or do much of that. But he's got some skills at the point guard position. I think he can facilitate offense. He can find guys. He's athletic. He's a lockdown defender. And the more comfortable he was looking, very confident in the practice that I saw. And I spoke with him, after the practice, and his attitude and his energy is just, I think at an all-time high, and he's ready for a breakout season. So, I think those two guys, Koloko and then Mr. Terry, I think you're gonna see great stuff from them this year.
Yeah, and you mentioned Christian Coloco. He's entering his third season with the Wildcats. He's one of the veterans on the team. As I mentioned, a lot of younger guys. But how confident are you as a whole with the center position? They also have Umar Ballo, transfer from Gonzaga, former Tommy Lloyd recruit too. So, do you think they're going to, have someone reliable, pan out there?
I think that it'll take development. I think it's similar to, like I said, like the year that we won the championship. We had myself, Donnell Harris, Eugene Edgerson, Bennett Davison, and all of us were, talented players, but didn't have much experience, at the level that they needed us to be at. So early in the season, there was some bumps and bruises, some growing pains and stuff like that. But as the season progressed, we really started seeing him coming on, getting more confident, providing more and more. And then what happened at the end was a run through the tournament, playing against top competition and being able to match up and dominate some of those matchups. So I think that's kind of what you're going to see from these guys. They're going to have to get comfortable early in the season, I believe, but as the season progresses, I think you'll see solid. They just need to be solid for them. You know what I mean? They don't need to, be superstars, but just man the paint, rebound the ball, have a strong interior presence on defense, and run the court and finish. You know what I mean? And I think if they can do that, things that Arizona will be in good shape.
Yeah, and you previously mentioned Benedict Mathurin and Jules Tabellas. Both of them last year might have had some NBA, value, maybe in the first round, second round. But do you view them as maybe like this will be like their last year if they play and live up to expectations?
I think if that happens, then Arizona's going to will have had a great season. You know what I mean? Because those guys, they have the talent enough to have left last year. I think they both made the right decision to come back and get a full year in. Be able to play in front of the McHale crowd and just get a kind of a different experience than they had last year. But both of them are highly skilled. Both of them have NBA bodies. They fit the mold of what the NBA is looking for right now. And so, I think they're both going to play really well this year. And I hope that they have that opportunity to leave at the end of the season. But I know that they're both focused on, having, as strong a season that they can and getting Arizona back on the map, locally and on the national scene, during the season this year. But I think they both have a good opportunity to move on to the next level after the season.
Yeah, and another guy who is probably the projected starting point guard right now, Kurc. He played limited time last year in his freshman season, and we saw flashes. We saw the jump shot, which looks to be very good. But do you think he can, live up to the previous high expectations that some have given him, in the past few years when he was coming to Arizona?
Well, he's another one that stood out to me in practice when I watched. The pace that he plays with, the way that he can push the ball, get guys running with him, being able to score. I think that his comfort level will be a lot higher this year. I think last year it was kind of an up and down season for him. He had some highlights and some shining moments, but it wasn't consistent last year. And so this year, another year, under his belt, he's going to be counted on to lead the team, be a leader at the point guard position. I think he's got an absolute chance to break out. And he's got game. The dude can play. Like he's a great passer. He can shoot the ball. And so that just comes with you really kind of coming into your game and being more comfortable on the court, and also having the coach, have confidence in you and instill confidence in you to allow you to play your game. And I think that's going to be an opportunity for him this year.
Yeah, last year, he shared the court sometimes with Akinjo, and the spacing seemed like to have a little bit of issues. But my last question for you here today, AJ, was where do you think the Arizona Wildcats this year will finish in the Pac-12? They were ranked fourth, I believe, in the preseason rankings by the NCAA. So where do you see them falling?
I think that's about right. I think, anything top five will be a good finish for them in the Pac-12 this year. And, if you can sneak into the tournament, get a berth and a, decent seed in the tournament, that's a success for this year. And, I think we have the talent to do it, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what the national, media is thinking, about Arizona, or if we're even on that map, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that we got a good group of guys that have good energy, good new coaching staff. It's going to be, pumping those guys, full of positive energy every day. And then, they're just going to go out there and compete. And, we have talent at all positions. So, I think that we could surprise a lot of people. It's going to take a little bit of time for the guys to gel, because there's a lot of moving pieces and new parts. But, by the time we're entering into, Pac-12 to tournament time, should be the right time for these guys to be peaking. So I'm just excited, for Arizona basketball this year. I really am. I'm excited to see them play, excited to have the fans back in McHale and get back to doing what we do best, which is winning basketball games.
Yeah, it should be a great year. Um, yeah, I really have high expectations. I think they could have a possibility to maybe even finish inside the top three, which would
Yeah.
be great for this season.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a good year. I think everybody's ready for it. Fans, obviously the players are chomping at the bit to get back out there and, to see what the Tommy Lloyd era brings this first year. I think it's going to be a positive experience.
Yeah, well, AJ, tell us what we have coming up later on the show.
Oh yeah, we got my guy, special, my boy for 20 plus years. Just an incredible basketball player, incredible human being, incredible father. Jason the Jet Terry will be joining us later in the show, so you don't want to miss that. It's going to be a great interview.
Sounds good.
All right, before we move on to the Jets' journey, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with BetRivers yet, now's the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today, or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call telephone 1-800-GAMBLER. My guy, my brother for many, many years. Two-time state champion at Franklin High School, 1997 NCAA champion with our Arizona Wildcats, 2011 NBA champion with the Dallas Mavericks. My guy, 19 years in the league. Jason Terry, how's it going, my brother?
Man, all's well. Sack Brothers, man. Appreciate you. See you.
Hey, man, it's good to see you, man. How's everything in Grand Rapids?
No, everything's well. Obviously, just been named the new head coach for the Denver Nuggets affiliate, the Grand Rapids Gold. And, I got a great team. We just had a draft this past weekend. We drafted Lance Stevenson, #1. So
All that.
not often you're able to get a 9-year NBA veteran at this level at the league. Like, he should be on somebody's roster. But hey, that's the beauty of it. Hopefully the impact that I have on him and the rest of these guys, our main goal here is to develop them and get them called up. so they can live out their biggest dreams. So, we had a 2-a-day today. You can hear it in my voice, it's a little hoarse. So I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying my time now, and being a head coach, being a leader, being a mentor for these young men.
Absolutely. I mean, they couldn't have, a better role model for them. You've done it at all levels, like I said earlier. And, I'm happy that you're getting this opportunity to really, put your fingerprints on the squad like you need to. So excited to see your team play this year.
No, appreciate you, man. And, like we always talk, hopefully I can get you off the podcast and get you on this. There ain't no better chemistry than what you and I had. And we truly know and understand what it takes to get these young men to become champions.
Absolutely. And with that being said, I just want to jump in a little bit, get your wisdom and knowledge and a little bit of history. Obviously, you came from Seattle, Washington to U of A. Believe that you had some interest in from the Washington Huskies before that, but what made your final decision? What allowed you to make that decision to come to Arizona and take that step?
Well, I think for me, it had a great deal to do with Coach Lute Olson and the way he ran his program. Obviously, when you talk about grooming young men and turning them into men and getting them ready not only for basketball but for life, he exemplified that. And then, for me, growing up in the Northwest and playing with Michael Dickerson in the summers and, just growing up with him, he was there as a freshman, and then seeing Damon Stoudemire, who was also from the Northwest, those guys being here, those guys speaking highly of the program and the success they had. And then all the players that they put in the NBA. Growing up, your wildest dream was to become an NBA player. And, you're going to a program that has had history and tradition of putting guys from college to the pros. The other schools that recruit me, they just didn't have the tradition that Arizona has. So, those were kind of three of the main reasons why I chose the Wildcats.
Well, you made the right choice, my man. You already know that.
Look,
you already know.
Go back to 97 and just walk those halls, man, and, Cat House and 6th Street. I know this is a public show, so we'll keep those stories private. But
and that'll be on the edited files. We'll throw those out there, my man. Hey, but talk about with that being said, talk about your first day on campus in Tucson and then kind of how things progressed. I mean, obviously I was there with you step for step. We were roommates for 4 years. They called us the Sack Brothers because we were always together. Never saw one without the other. But talk to me kind of about your journey, you know what I'm saying, and how things started and, how it progressed, through those years at AZ.
Well, I tell a lot of the kids that I've come in contact with and that I've mentored over the years, and I've told them, look, college is the best experience that you'll ever come across in your life, especially at that age. But one, not only about the ball, but it was about the relationships. Like you're talking about my first day on campus. Shoot, I see you at Target,
that's right.
forever. But those bonds, those relationships, those friendships are things that you look back on and you would not have had the successes that you've had in life. And I wouldn't have become the man, the father, the husband that I am without people like yourself, Coach O, and just the whole support staff that we had in AZ without those relationships and those experiences. So, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
No, me neither, man. We had some of the best times, in my life back then, and it was because of Coach O. And with that being said, what are some of the things that Coach O, obviously he's instilled some of these values in all of us across the board. And we saw that when we were back in Tucson, a month ago or whatever it was for the Celebration of Life for Coach O. There's a running theme, I think, of what he instilled in guys, whether you played for him in the 80s or you played for him in 2000s or whatever. There's something similar that we all share. I know what that means to me, but what is that? What did he teach you? What did that mean to you that he instilled in you?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that he instilled in me was just being accountable for your actions and just understanding there's a bigger picture. It's more than just, shooting a ball through a hole, man. It was really embrace the ones around you, like make them your family. And like, to me, family is everything. And the type of environment that he created for us truly is a brotherhood. I know Duke has the same brotherhood. Like, we don't even call it that.
No,
Like,
it's family. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Family. Yeah.
He just, that type of love that he had for us, that realness, and then just the understanding that, look, man, at the end of the day, we're human beings, we're people, and we're just not athletes shooting the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that being said, like, a lot of people know you as a sixth man in the NBA. And obviously you've won awards for that and been electrifying off the bench. But obviously that started at Arizona, and you, in my opinion, that was the biggest move in allowing us to proceed to get a chance to win the championship that year. Was you being unselfish and being able to take a step back, and keep your positive energy, keep your connection to the team, not let it affect you. Like, how were you able to do that? Coming from you being a starter and playing all the minutes and, doing, being in there all the time, to having to take a little bit of a step back, when Miles came back halfway through the season that year. How were you able to do that?
I just got to believe, like, in life and in sports, you have to sacrifice. And sometimes when you do sacrifice, for instance, in that experience, you realize some of your greatest successes. And, for me, I always was like a team player. I always enjoyed everyone else's success. Like, I wanted to see the next man next to me succeed. I wanted to see, AJ Bramlett get 10 rebounds and catch an alley-oop dunk. You know what I mean? That made me happy. Like, yeah, shooting threes and flying around, I got excited for that, but I was more excited for my teammates and seeing them succeed. And so, with that being said, it's like, I had a conversation with Coach O, and, I understood, like, who I was. I think the biggest thing for me, and when I mentor some of these young men, is I tell them, like, the sooner you find out who you are and what your strengths are and what you bring to a situation, the better off you are, and the more success and the more joy you'll have living your life. And early on with Coach O, I just knew in my role, if I could start in my role and be that sixth man, some other guys couldn't take it. Just being honest with you. We all have egos. We all are prideful people. And I just knew, for me, like, coming off the bench, it didn't matter, because Coach O told me one thing. He's like, JT, like, you might come off the bench, but I guarantee it, you're going to
be there in the end.
There in the end. And a lot of games I was. And so he was a man of his word. And, that kind of built that trust between he and I. And it's something that I carried over to the pros.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like that, that leads into just the championship run and talking about, what our team was able to do during that run. I think, a lot of people obviously enjoyed it, watched us go through it. And it was an amazing time in our lives, man. And just kind of talk about what you remember, not only from the run, but from that season, because, a lot of people don't know the backstory, I don't think, of that season. They'd see the run through the tournament and say, okay, yeah, that was great. Y'all won it, B3 number one seeds. But there was a long process of, a lot of stuff going on during that season that we had to overcome to get there. What do you remember about that?
I just got to take us back. And I know we probably pressed for time, but if I don't tell this part of the story, then the rest of it. And so, coming to the University of Arizona, being recruited by him, I watched the 1988 team that didn't win it and went to the Final Four. Then you watch Damon and Khalid and those guys, and they went to the 94 and didn't win it. And then, so for us, our freshman year, like, you and I were a big key component of that team, which was a senior-laden team. They had all the experience, and we had high aspirations. If you remember, we were in the top 10 in the country, like, undefeated going into Christmas, and then we played Syracuse. So already in our mind, we're like, man, we really got a shot. Winning the NIT in New York, beating Georgetown, right? Beating Allen.
Yes, sir.
Going into Arkansas, right? Going into Arkansas and knocking off the Razorbacks, who had, won a championship before. So right then, our confidence was up. We make it to the tournament, and we had a heck of a run, but we get knocked off in the Sweet 16. But if you remember, in that locker room, bro, it was me and you and Mike D. We're sitting in there in tears because Paul Pierce, Raven Friends, Jock Bond, and those guys, just knocked us out of the tournament. And we really thought we had a realistic shot that year.
We did.
So to come back our sophomore year, now we're even have more much of a responsibility, playing a bigger role, knowing like, look, man, so we played Kansas. They got their guys coming back. I mean, we got a good nucleus coming back. Like, in our minds, you couldn't tell us that we weren't going to go and win a championship. Now, our record wouldn't say so. We had some adversity. We weren't the best team in the Pac-12 that year. We finished 4th or 5th. We were a lower seed. And so at that point, like, the world, the naysayers, like, Arizona, here they go, another first round early exit. But in our mind, we're like, so now we're finna make a run.
Yep.
And we bonded together. We came together at the right time. Yeah, a couple balls bounced our way. You know what I'm saying? But after we beat Kansas, to us, that was our national championship game then because of what happened before. So, you know, we just had a hell of a run, man. And I think everybody on our team played their role. They starred in their role. If we didn't have you, Danielle Harris, Bennett Davison, right? If Mike Bibby and Miles Simon don't have the tournaments they had, like, we all just played at a high level at the right time, man. And the ball just bounced our way, man. And everything lined up. But once we got to the Final Four, there was no doubt in our mind that we weren't going to win it. Like, you couldn't have told anyone on our team that we weren't going to be the national champions that year. But it was just a hell of a run, man. And, you know, I wouldn't trade that. Like, I won an NBA championship, but it was nothing like being 19 years old on a college campus, winning a national championship. Come on, man. You got to tell me, like, that was the ultimate.
Oh, man, it lasted for months after that, too, didn't it?
You got your childhood friends driving, like, I don't know how many miles it is from Seattle to Arizona. Like, I have my best friend drive down and hang out for like a week and a half and slept out like he won the championship. Oh, it was crazy, man.
Hey,
Crazy.
man, can't beat it. Can't beat it. We had some great times, man. Great guys. Just a group of great guys that had the chemistry at the right time. And that was all, you know, that was Coach O's doing and our doing. And so, you know, it's something that you never forget. You know, now with, you know, my kids and my boys growing up, you know, Dalen and Drew, and you know, they get to enjoy it more too now and have that inspiration too to try to do something similar, you know, in their careers. So yeah, I mean, your Arizona career is amazing. One thing I want to touch on too is, you know, you waited your turn. You know what I'm saying? Like, you accepted that 6-man role, but by the time we were seniors, I mean, you were the best player in the country, in my opinion. You know, and you know, there's not too many people that have ever done that, where they've played a background role for 3 years and then get an opportunity in their senior year and really just blow up on the scene. Like, everyone knew who you were anyway because of, you know, the runs to the championship and clutch plays and the way that you had played. But, you know, how did you prepare for that, you know, a little bit differently than, you know, changing your role coming into our senior year? And how were you able to, you know, just really let out all that talent? Because, you know, a lot of guys can't do that. And, you know, they fall into their role. They're stuck there. You always had the mindset that you were ready, you know, to take on that responsibility. And when you got the chance you did, how did you prepare for that, man? Because it's something that it's always amazed me.
Well, for me, Sack, and you know this, like, when you have 10 brothers and sisters and your mother's a single parent, and then like sophomore year, I had a kid myself, I was fighting for something bigger than me. Like, I was fighting for my family and having to try to provide for them. And like, there was no failure. Like, I couldn't fail. And then when you get the ultimate confidence from your head coach and he tells you, like, listen, you take the sacrifice now, your senior year, there is no backup. Like, you got to play all the minutes, and how you and AJ go, that's how our team is going to go. So when they put all that weight and all that responsibility on you, you like, man, I can't let this man down. He believes in me. Like, he's seen something. But then I also seen the guys that came before me. Steve Kerr did it. Damon Stoudemire did it. Reggie Keary did it. Like, Reggie Keary was a 3-man, and then his senior year, he becomes the point guard.
Yeah.
But because he waited his time and coach promised him, like, obviously, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, when I get there, I might be a starting point guard. But he was like, no, I promised Reggie, you know, you got to wait your turn. And I seen how that played out for Reggie. Reggie had a hell of a senior year. And so, man, just seeing that, coach believing in me, and then having a teammate like yourself. I mean, you know, you don't get nearly as much credit, but, you know, somebody had to set those screens. Somebody had to throw me the ball and get me open. Somebody had to accept the fact that I might not get as many shots, but shit, I'm gonna let JT get those shots. And man, we'll see what happens. Like you trusting in me, us having that trust in each other, just allowed me to go out there and play with the ultimate confidence.
Hey man, it was something so special to watch. One of the most amazing seasons that Arizona has ever seen, for sure. And then that was a great season. But then as you roll into the draft, 1999, number 10 to the Atlanta Hawks. I was number 39. Should have been in the first round, still in my opinion. But to the Cavs. But number 10 to the Hawks, man. How was that? How was draft night for you?
Well, draft night was good. It was like a celebration because you had finally lived out your wildest dream. And, for me, I had all my family members. I'm talking about aunts, uncles, the Terry clan was in effect. And just to see the smiles on their faces, to see moms and pops, whose relationship wasn't always the best, to be there, to be able to share a moment that their son, accomplished. It was huge for me. It was a milestone in my career, and I'll never forget it. And 99 was a hell of a year, man. Hey, what did it say? I don't know. I think it's Prince or somebody got a song talking about it's 1999.
Like 1999, yeah.
Man, that's my theme song because again, I was able to live out my wildest dream.
So 19 years in the NBA, 2011, and I remember this clearly, and I think this is correct. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember when you guys got to the finals, it was right before the finals, and you were going to play LeBron and D-Wade again, and a reporter asked you, how are you going to guard LeBron James? And your answer was, how is LeBron James going to guard me?
Right.
You went out there and took care of business, man. And you for this, you don't get enough credit, in my opinion, for what you did in that series. And you carried them a lot in that series. I mean, obviously Dirk did his thing, and came through, obviously played at a high level, but you were the one that was the motor for that team and really the heart of that team. And, that was amazing to me, is just how you had that confidence. How did you feel, before that series? How were you able to just go out there and perform at that level, against, Bron and those guys at that time?
Well, obviously my tremendous faith in God. I did a lot of praying. But it also stems from, again, it's just teammates, man. And just, if I go back to even college, just having a set routine, like Josh Pastner, the routine he gave me in 98, I stuck with that. I stuck to it, just like brushing my teeth. I had to do it every single day. I had that same routine, during that finals run, that whole year, my whole career, really. And that's what gave me the confidence to go out and to be able to perform on the biggest stage and the brightest lights. It was that routine, that work ethic, those habits. It didn't matter who was out there. The hoop was still 10 feet, right? The court was still 94 feet. And, for me, as long as I was able to get to those spots, I knew I would, take and make shots. And then also, it's I've played with Hall of Fame teammates. I'm on the floor with Jason Kidd, Dirk Nowitzki, Tyson Chandler, Sean Marion. For me, Peja Stojakovic, to me, it was man, I got this. Oh, man, this is too easy. This is too easy. And for me, being there before, going to the finals 5 years previously, where I was on a lesser talented team. Yeah, I had Jerry Stackhouse was on my team, Josh Howard, Dirk was on the team. But that team, it was no comparison to the talent we had. Yeah, some of those guys were older in their careers, but there had to be something to be said about having experience and the smarts and the know-it-all to be able to go out and perform and understand it just wasn't on you. You had help. And man, those guys gave me confidence, man. I give a lot of credit to Jason Kidd, man, just for the way he handled us, how he ran our team, how he was the leader. He didn't have to score points. He knew how to get people and put people in positions to have success. And man, I learned a lot from that guy. And I can't nearly take enough of the credit. The shots went in because I put the work in, but shoot, J. Kidd was getting me that ball. And whenever I was open, it was there.
Man, congratulations again on that, man. It's something super special. Also, tattooing the trophy on your arm before the season is just crazy. So, that's just
all people. I'm gonna do some crazy stuff.
I know that. I know that. That was wild. That was wild, but it worked out.
Other tattoos too that didn't really go the way it's planned. I had to ride it out. But, it's all good.
That's great, man. Well, yeah, let me just dive in and give a few more minutes, but let me dive into, you kind of have a unique perspective on, I think, the current Arizona team and the team coming up this season. You've been there for, the last 2 years. You've been there through the transition, from Coach Miller to Coach Lloyd, and just wanted to, see what your thoughts were on the upcoming season, kind of see who, and Ryan and I were talking earlier about who we think the breakout players are going to be for this year. Just want to get your opinion on who that could be and who you see kind of rising, out of the shadows a little bit, and who's going to, step up with more responsibility this year for our 21-22 team.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind, Coach Lloyd is going to do a phenomenal job, he and his staff. Because one thing about Coach Lloyd is he's very transparent, he's direct, he's right to the point. And he's going to deliver because those guys work. They work every single day, man. They put the work in. And when you talk about having talent and work, the sky's the limit. You know it with our team. Like our guys, we had talent, but we worked. We outworked you. And so Dalen Terry, phenomenal worker. I've watched him come in 6 a.m. every single day. Even when his shot wasn't falling, he still come in and put the work in until he gets the results. He's going to have a breakout year. Ben Matherin is already, last year, if he comes out, he's top 25 in the NBA draft. His physical stature, he reminds me so much of Michael Dickerson, the way his athleticism and his pure shooting stroke. And then Azuolas Tubelis. I mean, he does it all. He's a mix of AJ Bramlett, Bennett Davison, and Sabonis, if you ask me. He's a kid that, again, another guy last year, had he come out, he would have been drafted. Both those guys will be, first-round lottery picks this season. And you mix that with a feisty, just pesky guy by the name of Kurc. Something about those Kurcs, man, that you got to be grown to love.
Yeah.
No relation, but the way they play, the way they can shoot it, I mean, I got to think Kurc is going to have an incredible season this year. And we'll see what happens. I mean, Christian Coloco should play better this year. He's going to have a major role as being the anchor in the middle of that defense. But I just think that, coupled with a great coaching staff, those guys are going to have a good year. And they don't have high expectations for us. I've looked at all the preseason polls, top 25, what have you, and we're barely scratching the surface. So, I'm looking for big things. The number one thing for me that I missed last year, that I know you and I both had and experienced, it was playing in McHale Center in front of 14,500 people every single night. They'll get that experience this year, and that is a true home court advantage.
Hey, well, we appreciate it, man. I appreciate you so much, JT Sachs, and I wish you all the luck in your first season with the Grand Rapids Gold, man. Keep doing your thing, keep spreading that knowledge to the young fellas, and much success to you as you always have been, man. I appreciate you, brother.
No, love, man, and I got Brigger on speed dial. I'm going to get that 42 blue Bramlett jersey from the national championship, and I'll send you that Trey one, so we can show that love.
Yes, sir. Always, man. Bear down, my brother.
All right, bless. Tell the family I said hello.
Will do. You same. All right, man.